everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Souji, and today we're continuing the series on my Greece and Turkey trip with Celebrity Silhouette. If you haven't seen my previous videos on that, you can check it out here. Today is going to be part 1 of Istanbul because we spent 2 whole days in Istanbul, so there's a lot that happened. There will be a part 2. The way the itinerary was set up was that once we got to Istanbul, to their new Galata port, we got to just dock there overnight. So when we saw Istanbul the first day, we could just come back, sleep in the ship, and go out the next day as well. Sailing into Istanbul was super cool for a transportation nerd like myself. We got to see all the pilot boats and the tugboats accompanying us as we were going through the Dardanelles Strait and the Sea of Marmara. Especially from the balcony, we could look out and see the pilot boats almost the whole way. So we docked right in the middle of Istanbul, as you can see here, at their new huge Galata port, which seems to be a new hip shopping area with lots of restaurants. First thing when we docked there, I went up to the top deck to get breakfast, and my breath was taken away because everywhere I looked there was just mosques, and I could see the Hagia Sophia in the distance from the cruise ship. There was also this huge tower off in the distance that we could see from the balcony that would change color and light up at night, which was super cool. So for our first day in Istanbul, we booked a full tour of the city, and then the second day we did our own thing. So the first stop on the tour was the Hippodrome, which was this ancient Roman arena in the middle of Constantinople during the Byzantine Empire. With some of these ruins, there's only one column or pillar left of it. The rest of it has been taken down. But apparently it used to be an arena kind of thing. Our next stop was the Blue Mosque, which was my favorite stop of the whole tour. It was my first time visiting a mosque, and to visit this one and the Hagia Sophia, women had to cover their heads, and I didn't know that, so I didn't bring a scarf. So they let us borrow this blue scarf that we could just put on ourselves to go in. It was just basically a stamped cotton rag that I had to return at the end. The inside of the mosque was so beautiful though. It's literally one of the most beautiful buildings I've ever been inside. And you can see here just how many decorations are in the ceiling. We walked past the Hagia Sophia to get to our next stop of Topkapı Palace, which is an old Ottoman palace, which is now a museum with different buildings where you can go visit their armory and their treasury and their bedrooms and etc. It essentially contained old artifacts of the ruling Ottoman family from their daily life. Topkapı Palace is basically a huge fort with palace gardens. The decorations and paintings in the ceilings and the walls of the palace were really beautiful. I've always been a fan of Muslim architecture like the Taj Mahal, so it was exciting to see so many buildings of that same style. You can see again that the crowds were pretty numerous for the end of September. We had to wait in long lines to get to some of the exhibits, but the view of the city was absolutely breathtaking from the top of the palace. We could even see out into the Sea of Marmara. We then went to a restaurant for lunch where they fed us some starter dips of eggplant and tomato sauce, which is my new favorite Turkish dish now, and a garlicky yogurt sauce. And my main was a veggie stew with rice, which was pretty flavorful, but I was mostly just living off the dips because they were so good. What was kind of funny is I had to share some of my food with 2 Americans who were sitting at my table, and they were super picky. They were kind of just what's that? And only taking a little bit of the bread and everything, which just left more for me to eat. I even asked the waiter if I could have Turkish black tea, and someone next to me was like, wow, that sounds so exotic. What is that? Next after lunch was the big stop everyone was waiting for, the Hagia Sophia. The Hagia Sophia does not provide headscarves for women because I think there's way too many tourists. So first we had to stop by a little cheap market to buy headscarves. So I actually got this one because I was wearing a green dress that day. So I just bought a green scarf, and it was nice because now I have a $3 scarf that I could take home after. To get into the Hagia Sophia, there were basically 2 entrances. There was one for the tourists and one for people who wanted to pray. And the tourists ended up above the people praying. So you kind of got to look down at the prayer room the whole time. The history of the Hagia Sophia is pretty fascinating. First, it was a Roman church, which then got converted into a Byzantine church, and then finally it became a mosque. But because when Muslims pray, they're not allowed to see icons or figures, there is a mosaic of Mary and Jesus, I think, on the ceiling, which they had to cover up so that they could still preserve the history of it, but not be against the rule about no idols while praying. So you can see in this photo, there are huge curtains up above the praying room because that's where the idols are. Our final stop on the tour was the Grand Bazaar, which was so impossibly large. Before we went in, the tour guide told us to please stay on the main path, like just stay on the stores that are here in the center. Do not go off to the sides because you can very quickly get lost. We adhered to that for the most part. Like, we realized that the prices were slightly cheaper, not on the main path, but on the side path. So we would make sure to like only turn in slightly, buy stuff, and then come back to the main path immediately. I could see though how easy it is to get lost because like a lot of stores seem to repeat themselves or they were very similar. So it's very hard to like use landmarks to tell yourself where you are and which way the exit is because like a lot of the stores just look the same. I bought some Turkish tea and also these scarves. I bought them for people. It's kind of wrinkly because I just wore them on my Asia trip, so I have to get them dry cleaned. But haggling for the scarves was really stressful because they were like relentless. They were charging so much for the original price, and my travel partner wanted to get the price to half what they originally quoted. So we had a strategy. Before going in, I agreed to not even interfere because I would cave immediately. I would say like, oh fine, I guess I'll pay whatever you said. So I had to just shut my mouth and let the haggling happen. We were really exhausted after the tour and it was so hot. So afterwards we just decided to head back to the ship because they were doing a Turkish themed buffet there, so we ended up just eating the Turkish food on board rather than spending money at a restaurant. As we were doing every day, we finished the first day in Istanbul and then we got to watch the sunset from the top of the cruise at night. So this was day 1 of Istanbul. The next video will be about day 2 in Istanbul where we booked our own tours and did our own thing. So please leave a like and subscribe and I'll see you in the next video.